G'day everyone, and welcome to my first crochet course. This is part 1. I'm just going to give a quick run through of the different hooks first, just to give you an idea of what would be best before you go out and purchase any, unless you've already got some. Whatever you got on hand is okay. First, plastic. Try not to get plastic hooks because they're very flexible and it just makes it so much harder to get a nice stitch and to get it through your chains and stitches. So try not to get a plastic hook. They're alright when you go into the thick ones. This is a 10mm hook because they don't bend like the thin flimsy ones. Then you have your metal crochet hooks, which most people use. The only thing is, because they are metal, they take a lot of the heat away from your hands and can cause your wrists to ache because it takes the heat out and disperses it away from your skin, therefore making your hand colder and yeah, just makes your wrists ache after a while. But if you're just beginning and starting out, that's fine, whatever you've got on hand. Then you have your bamboo hooks, which are good because they hold the heat. The heat doesn't come to the end and disperse. It'll hold your heat in your hand and less likely to get aches in your wrists and fingers. And the one I use, because I just prefer them, because when I'm crocheting a lot, if I use metal or bamboo and that, I tend to get a bit of a blister in my palm because I'm crocheting so much. The ergonomic ones are great because they give you a bit more stability and they're a lot nicer to hold, especially when you're doing big projects and that, but they're just an overall nice crochet hook. You can get so many different types, but that's just the basic ones that I'll go through today. So to start off with, we're just going to learn to do a slip knot and chain, and then we'll just do single crochet and go on to other stitches as we go along. So today I'm using a 4mm hook and an 8-ply yarn. This is probably more heading towards a 10-ply, but we'll say 8-ply today. Your yarn should come with a label on it, and it will say what hook size to use with whatever yarn you're using. So a 12-ply is normally like a 5mm hook, 8-ply is 4 to 4.5, and it also depends on how tight you crochet and how loose. So if you're a tight crocheter, you might need to go up a size, and if you're very loose, you might need to go down a size. But do try and get the hook that matches the yarn that you're going to use. It just makes it look a lot nicer, and yeah, it's just that hook's particularly suited to that yarn. Okay, so to start off with is how to hold your yarn. Now everyone's different, but the way I hold my yarn is I have it over my 3 fingers, over my pointer, and just hold it like that. So over my 3 fingers, around the pointer, and then hold it. But you will find your particular way of how to hold your yarn. Everyone's different. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with when you're crocheting. You'll find a few different ways, and then all of a sudden you'll find a way that just suits you. With your crochet hook, make sure you've got one with a flat edge. So you hold it like you're going to cut a piece of steak or something. So don't hold it like this because you're going to be going like this. Or try to avoid it. If that's the only way you can do it, that's fine. But you will end up with carpal tunnel troubles later on if you're constantly doing it. So try to hold it like a knife. So your thumb on that flat part there and your finger. Okay, so now we're going to do a slip knot to get ourselves started. So we grab our yarn, and what we're going to do is I hold it with the 2 fingers, and you're going to bring the yarn up towards you, around those 2 fingers, away from you, bring it back up and over, away again, but behind the first piece of yarn. So I'll do that again. So grab your yarn, 2 fingers out, yarn up towards you, over, away, up again towards you, over and away from you, but behind the first strand. Then we grab our hook, we're going to put it under the first loop, grab that one from behind and pull it through. Then you grab the 2 strands, your tail and your main yarn strand, slip your fingers out and pull that tight. So then when you pull the main yarn, it should come down, and when you pull the tail, it should come loose. Right. Now you don't want your loop too tight, because you won't be able to get it in and out. It should be able to just slide through, and have your hook down, facing down when you're pulling it through. Okay, so next all we're going to do is yarn over, hold that tail, otherwise it's going to be slipping around. So hold that tail, yarn over and just pull through that loop. If you've ever done finger knitting, it's kind of like that. So hold your tail, grab your hook, yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through. And then just continue until you got the required amount of stitches. Just keep going. Okay. Now, this is how it should look. You should have V's, little V's all along. And if you flip it over, you can see like a ridge on the back, which is, we call the backbone, or the 3rd loop, the back loop. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I'll just show you what it looks like if you do it too tight, because that's nice and even. So do it too tight if I can. And you can see the difference in the stitches, and when you flip it over you can't really see the backbone either. And when you're trying to insert your hook again, it's like sticking a wombat into a rabbit hole. It is not going to fit, and you're going to get frustrated, you're going to give up, and probably the end of you'll lose patience and probably not continue on. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to crochet, so you can count your chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll do 20 chains, so we need 11 more, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so you should have 20 chains on your hook. So the next we're going to do is just flip our chain over. Okay, so that's the front with your V's. Flip it over and you should have these little ridges on the back. So what we're going to do, is go in that little lump on the back, yarn over, pull through, yarn over. You should have 2 stitches on your hook and pull through those 2. So now that you've done your first hump, you should be able to see the others quite easily. So we go in through that hump, yarn over, pull through, 2 stitches on the hook, yarn over and pull through both those stitches. And again, if you've got your yarn too tight, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for you to continue on. So try and keep it not too loose, but just nice so that you can, it will come to you. It's just, it takes practice, but yeah, so yarn over. So just continue going through those little humps on the back, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue all the way along. And when you are starting out, try and find a nice relaxed area away from your husband, your kids, animals, whatever. And just try and relax when you do it. When you get all uptight and worrying about it, that's when you're not going to be able to do it. So just try and relax to start with. It can be frustrating to start with, but if you just relax, take your time, excuse me, I'm sure you'll be fine. Just continuing along through those back humps. So this is your single crochet that we're doing today. Oh, can't get through that hook. Oh, the cockies are out there singing away. Okay, so just continue along, in, around, through, and through. And then we get to the end and I'll show you. I'm having trouble with this ball today. Okay, so we're nearly at the end. If not, that's fine. Just pause the video until you're up to where we are at the moment. Also, just keep pausing, rewinding. This is how I taught myself. Just keep persevering. Again, just relax and try to enjoy it, and don't get too stressed out. If you make a mistake, does it really matter? Not really. You can just pull it out and start again. As frustrating as that seems. Okay, so now that we're at the end of the row, this is how your work should look. So that's our first row of single crochet. So at the end of the row, we're going to chain 1 like we did when we were putting our chains on. So just yarn over and just pull through that hoop. Okay, so then we're going to turn our work. So your tail's on this side. And if you flip your work towards you, you should be able to see the V's all along the top here. So each V on both sides is called 1 stitch. So you can see the V's all the way along, and that's 1 stitch each. So this time what we're going to go do is we're going to go through both those stitches, the whole V. Okay, so hold your work, go in from the side, you should see some little holes. We're going to go in through, make sure you go right under so the V's on your hook. You've got both strands, but it is only one stitch. We go yarn over, pull through that V, yarn over and pull through 2 stitches. So it's the same as what we were doing before, but this time you've got to go right through the V, and that's how your stitches will look from now on. Okay, so in through the side, right under the V, grab your yarn, pull through that V, yarn over, and pull through your 2 stitches on your hook. Okay, so we're just going to continue along, and with single crochet you always chain 1 at the end of the rows and then turn your work. It just makes it easier and gets your stitches up to the height they need to be, and your yarn also on the right side of your work. Also, if you are left-handed, and this is a right-handed tutorial, all you have to do is put a mirror in front of the device that you're working off, like your iPad or your phone, and that will give you the reflection that looks like I'm actually crocheting left-handed. So you'll be able to follow along as well, so don't feel left out. I am actually a left-hander, but I cannot crochet left-handed, I do it right-handed. So I think it also depends on how you start. Like if you start on your right hand, you might be okay, but if you can't and you're left-handed, just do it on the left. And just put a mirror on the table where you're working or wherever. And any right-handed tutorials you should be able to follow, excuse me, just by making a mirror image. But this is for right-handers. So when you get to the end, you can see one more little loop at the end there. You need to go into that one, otherwise you can see it's starting to go on an angle, and if you miss that one, you're going to end up with just a V and just a few stitches left on your work. So we go in through that V there as well, that loop, pull through, yarn over, and again chain 1 and turn. Okay, we'll do that once more. So we've got our chain 1, it's up to the height, in through the side, under the V. Okay, and we're just going to continue along. Again, try not to hold it too tight, and relax and have fun with it. And if you do get too tight, or you find your wool squeaking, the thing you can do to help with that is just put a tiny bit of talcum powder on your fingers, and that'll stop that squeaking and it'll help your yarn slide a lot better. And also I found if I wash my hands just before I start crocheting, just with soap and water, it also helps the yarn glide a lot easier, because sometimes it does start squeaking, and it's only because sorry, your hands are starting to sweat and the yarn's getting a bit harder to pull through. So yeah, just a bit of talcum powder if you find that's happening, and just relax again and persevere. And just keep practicing, so just keep rewinding, replaying, pausing, whatever you need to do to learn to do it. But yeah, main thing, have fun and relax. So again, we're at the end of our row. Now this one's harder to see because it's the second row, but it is right here. You can just see a little, so you're virtually going into that chain 1 space. And through there. Okay. All right. So this is how your work should look right now. All right, so we'll finish up here. Just keep practicing, and once you get confident, come back and we'll learn how to do the half double crochet, which is the next stitch up from the single crochet. So we'll just keep continuing along until we get to the final stitch. So there's about 5 stitches we're going to go through, which is your chain, your single, your half double, your double and your treble. So they're the main stitches that you're going to need to start off with. So that's the end of the single crochet, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial when we're going to learn half double crochet. Okay guys, catch you later.